Hey guys, so through a series of divinely orchestrated events this week, of course, I ended up buying a book from Amazon called U Squared. It's by Price Pritchett, I think that's his name. And this book is like 30 pages long, and I'm going to just spoil it for you right now. It's just another iteration of the manifestation concepts. It doesn't use any God talk, doesn't really use any manifestation talk. This was clearly written to appeal to people who aren't quite woo enough to be interested, in Neville Goddard or Wallace Wattles or whoever. Exact same concepts. Literally. I was kind of rolling my eyes through the book, not because of its content, but just like, oh my God, how many times are people going to how many times are people going to write a book like this? And I was sort of bitch slapped back into reality when something in this book was just it was exactly what I needed to read at that exact moment for my own personal life situation. And so I wanted to share what it was in the hopes that there's somebody else out there that needs to hear it too. It was the visual that did it for me. And since manifestation is such a visual thing for a lot of people, it's about seeing, for me, having an image in my mind of where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to do. And whether that's an image you can actually see in your mind's eye or it's just sort of like something that's there that is there, it's kind of the same thing. Because it's visual, this really appealed to me. And I kind of visualized in a way myself doing this exact thing. And it seems to have worked. So the visual that the author presented, and he's talking about finding creative solutions to problems, or he's talking basically about how if you can't see a way will be made if you essentially get out of the way, which is, that's an essential part of this whole manifestation thing. You have to be able to relinquish control and relinquish what you think is going to be the way you're going to get from point A to point B. I think that's pretty important. What this guy recounted was a story of watching a fly buzzing against the glass in a window, desperately trying to get outside, just beating himself against the glass until he died on the windowsill. While 10 feet away, directly behind him, was an open door to the outside. Of course, I'm sure this didn't happen. This is used to illustrate a point. If the fly had just turned around and flown in the other direction, he would have flown right outside. But because in the past, supposedly, the fly had beaten against the window and eventually found an opening and gotten out, or because, the fly could see the outside, he could see it in front of him, but just couldn't figure out what was blocking him from getting there, the clear glass. He just wore himself out and died. The point being that, a couple points here. One being that just because something has worked for you in the past, just because there was a way from point A to point B for you in the past that you were successful with when you're a different version of yourself, just because that worked in the past doesn't mean it's what's going to work now. This was what was profoundly important for me. Because I've been successful in every area of my life, I've been successful. Now, just because you achieve success in some area doesn't mean you don't want more to move forward in that area. Or it doesn't mean that just because you've been successful that you don't backslide eventually and need to recover the same ground again. And especially if you've been successful in the past or you're listening to people tell you how they've been successful, that way that's being presented forward is not necessarily what's going to get you there. And that can be almost impossible to integrate into what you're doing. It can be almost outside of the realm of even being able to understand that or perceive it or come up with it. And for me, that's been huge. This just it hit me really hard in this little book. It's 30 pages long. That was the whole point of reading the book for me, was visualizing the solution being 180 degrees away from where I am. Can you even imagine that? When you think you know the way forward with something because it seems so obvious or because it worked so beautifully for you in the past, how could the solution be the opposite of that, or something that has nothing to do with that? it's like, it can be difficult to even come to the point where you understand that. Like, I wasn't even in the mental realm of thinking about that. And when I read this little story, I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm trying to move forward in a way that I already moved forward in the past, when the place that led me wasn't where I wanted to be. And yet I'm trying to take the exact same path to the exact same place when that's not where I want to be. So it makes perfect sense that it's not working. It makes perfect sense that I, in my 3D, am not, you know, that some part of me, like the human vehicle, is not cooperating with that. It's kind of happening in every area of my life. I've sort of been trying to take the same route forward as I did the last time I had a huge burst forward. I've been trying to kind of do the same things. And some things are working, some things aren't, but I haven't been feeling like super, like I'm definitely not having the same experience I had before. It's not as fulfilling. It's not very exciting, stuff like that. So I wanted to recount this story because just opening your mind to the idea that the solution to your problem, you're looking straight ahead and you're like, here's where I'm trying to go and I know how to get there. But if it's not working, the solution could be completely in another direction that you're not thinking of. And just understanding that literally might produce the solution to your problem today. I almost immediately, once my focus was not on doing things this certain way that I had already come up with and been successful with, the second that was off the table, all of a sudden all these other avenues started popping up. And actually, I think this was earlier this week, before I even made my video about how, like, it had sort of been revealed to me that I'm supposed to be making this channel, and that there's a grander purpose to this that isn't really about me. I think this might have been before that. I'm not sure. Maybe that triggered that, or maybe it was after that. I don't know. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Immediately, I've had all these creative solutions now to problems. Plus, just dropping that, I have just felt such a sense of relief. Like that, you know, I tend to build up slowly over time a sense of responsibility about everything. Like what's happening in reality. Like if I didn't do something today, I feel really like a heavy sense of responsibility, or a heavy sense of having dropped the ball on something. And this was just such a relief. Like I'm sighing relief right now, even recounting it, because it's just been such a tremendous relief to feel like I don't have to put forth effort to make things happen the same way I did before, when it was effortless then, because it was the right thing at the time. It was where I was mentally. It was, you know, it was the appropriate avenue for me at the time. Whereas now, later, I'm a different person now. I'm going for something bigger now than I was, you know, in every area of my life. I want, you know, my relationship to be better. I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. I want more money, and I want it to feel more purposeful. I don't want it to just be for me, you know. What that translates to is that things are going to be gotten in a different way, even if it's slight, but it might be major. This analogy of the fly in the window really spoke to me, and so I wanted to talk about it here, because that's what I'm doing here. I felt compelled to talk about that. That's what stood out to me this week. If you're beating yourself against an invisible barrier over and over again, trying to get to this thing that seems to be right there, that you've already gotten, especially if it's something that you've already achieved in the past, and you're just trying to do it again, or you're just trying to get more of it or something, and for some reason you're running into this invisible barrier, stop. You know, if it's a problem, don't allow the problem to get worse, but stop trying to solve the problem the same way. There's a new creative way to do it, and all you have to do is just get out of the way. Get your mind out of the way. What that means is stop inserting yourself into it. Just step back and be an observer, and intend for things to be shown to you. Intend to be guided a different direction, and you will be. I swear to God, you'll just know what to do. It'll just be in your head, or you'll just suddenly know. You'll feel it in your gut, or somebody will say something to you. You'll run into somebody who says exactly what you need to hear, just like this book with me. Or, you know, you'll run into this video on my channel. Boom. You'll have your answer. So I just wanted to talk about that today, and I hope that it helps somebody. that book, by the way, this U Squared book by Price Pritchett, I was rolling my eyes at it a little because I'm like, oh my God, another person capitalizing on the manifestation thing. But I was really surprised. It's in the top 100 or 200 on Amazon, which means it's selling thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. If you're ranked that high on Amazon, your book is just flying off the shelves. And I was really surprised because it came out in 2012. So in my view, I mean, I know The Secret came out in like 2006 or 7 or something. So that was definitely where things started to take off in this mind creates reality niche. But I don't consider 2012 to be when people were like really going at it. Like today, it's just like everything is so saturated. There's so much, and it's so easy to self-publish now that there's just like, I just assumed it was like another kind of garbagey attempt at raking in some money off of a gold rush. But no, this book is 11 years old. It's a really fast read. So if you're interested at all, just get the book. I think it was $13 on Amazon. But nothing new or mind-blowing in there. Just a different voice stating things in a different way that at this particular point in time spoke to me exactly where I am. So I don't know. Have a great day.